Oh my gosh, this question, very hard. It's got a lot of science. It's very difficult to sort through. We're going to do the best we can, and especially if you're running out of time, as you're in this last passage, you got to just eliminate what you can and move on fast, right? Don't dwell. Try to get to some more of the easy questions that are coming. So one thing we can do, because we do have a pair and we do have some line references in number 46, is we can try to use the chronology rule here to kind of narrow our focus and see if that might help us guess better with these answer choices. And I want to use this as an opportunity to show you kind of what we're allowed to do with the chronology rule. So I would go to the questions around this pair, so that's 44 and 47, and we get these two vocab questions. So basic in line 24 and matched in line 39. So that means we would expect the line reference to be somewhere between lines 24 and 39. So what could we eliminate? Well, the short answer is nothing, right? We're never allowed to completely eliminate an answer choice, a line reference, because it's possible that they break the chronology rule. It happens from time to time, so we're not going to be able to completely eliminate anything. But if you are short on time, choice D rather, is the one that would be the worst guess. If you're going to guess randomly, guess anything but D, because that's very far out of the chronology. It's very far away from what we would expect the lines to be. Now, I do want to talk about line reference C, though, because most of line reference C is beyond line 39. But experience with the chronology rule tells you to be a little bit flexible. Sometimes there's things that overlap, and so I would not eliminate that choice. It could definitely fit because it includes 39, and it's even if it was just close to it, I would still keep it. So the only bad guess here would be D. Let's see, though, what happens. Let's kind of make sure we do the question thoroughly still. Which question was McGuire's study of mental athletes primarily intended to answer? So what question was it answering? So his study, so there's a lot of things that in this choice we want to focus on. We want to make sure we're talking about the right study. Hopefully they tell us what the question is. So let's see. So let's go to 27 to 29. That is here. After her groundbreaking study of London cabbies, McGuire decided to turn her attention to mental athletes. Well, this is definitely wrong because it's not saying what she was trying to study in the mental athletes, right? It's just saying that she was studying them. So this is what I would call a what choice. I talked about this a little earlier in another video for this test. And so it tells me what I know that she had to study. But it doesn't answer the why of the question, right? Why did she do the study? What was it trying to answer? So it's not answering the because part. So no good. 33 to 37. That is here to here. Love this. They wanted to find out if the memorizers' brains were, like the London cabbies, structurally different from the rest of ours, or if they were somehow just making better use of memory abilities that we all possess. So for now, I'm not going to dive very deeply into this and try to understand the specific science, but I do notice that in terms of the ideas that I'm looking for from the question, it's got exactly what I want, right? They wanted to find out what was it trying to answer, right? Like this is a good example of fine matching ideas. They're not saying the exact same words, but that idea in that question is pretty much dead on in that line reference. Let's keep going though. Line C, 38 to 43. That's here. Here. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched control subjects into MRI scanners and asked them to memorize 3-digit numbers, black and white photographs of people's faces, and magnifying images of snowflakes while their brains were being scanned. Well, again, this isn't telling me what they're trying to answer. This is just telling me how they did the experiments. That doesn't tell me what they were hoping to get out of the experiment. It's just kind of talking about the process. So that doesn't seem very good at all. I know why people get confused. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of science in here. You get overwhelmed. But 52 to 54, we still got to check it. What's more, on every single test of general cognitive ability, the mental athlete's scores came back well within the normal range. And is that it? Yeah, that's it. So this is not talking about what the question was trying to answer. It's talking about the results of the experiment. So this is rare on a evidence pair, but it happens occasionally where we go through the line references and we get down to one choice very confidently. So it's not just that this one had a good match, but it's also that the others were clearly not answering the question. So that's great. That's good for us. And that's why I think that maybe this question is not as hard as it first seems if we're just kind of reading lines and trying to understand the science. We do not need to understand the science to get this question. Now we do want to dive a little deeper into B, though. So what question was it trying to answer? Let's try to dumb summarize the rest of B here. Were the brains different structurally, or were they just making better use of abilities that we all possess? So structurally different. Maybe that's my dumb summary of what's going on here. Structurally different. Okay. Does the act of memorization make use of different brain structures than does the act of navigation? So that part seems pretty good. I don't know about navigation. I don't remember reading about that, but okay, the structure thing I like. Do mental athletes inherit their unusual brain structures, or do the structures develop as a result of specific activity? So again, structure seems to match, but I don't remember them talking about genes and inheritance, right? It's not diving into people's ancestors to see what's going on. So that part seems wrong. C, does heightened memorization ability reflect abnormal brain structure or an unusual use of normal brain structure, right? So is it something that's structurally different, abnormal, or unusual use? Is it somehow just making better use of memory abilities that we all possess? This does seem to work. Let's keep going, though. What is the relationship between general cognitive ability and the unusual brain structures of mental athletes? This is answering the question that they're asking, right? We don't know if they have unusual brain structures. We're trying to find out if they have unusual brain structures. So to me, D is incorrectly answering the question the study is asking. And C is the best one because even though they all kind of talk about structure, the other choices go too far. And so this is why, this is kind of like the converse of find matching ideas, right? So when we look at those choices, we're supposed to look for the idea of navigation in those lines. We're supposed to look for the idea of inheritance in those lines. And it's not there, right? Read it again. Nothing about inheritance, nothing about navigation. Now, I know that they talk about the cabbies, but that's an old study, right? That's the previous study. We've got a new study. And so we've moved on. Now we're not talking about cabbies. We're talking about the memorizers' brains, right? People who are memorizing things, mental athletes. We got that from the previous line. So we're talking not about people navigating anymore. So we've moved on. But I get why we might still pick that as it's on our minds. It came up in the previous line. So, don't get tempted. We've got to stick to these lines here. It's a great question. I know if you're running out of time, this feels like it's going to be a hard thing to do a pair with not that much time left, but it turns out if we narrow our focus to smaller ideas, we can very quickly see that a lot of the choices are very bad and do not match with the instructions in the question, or the words in the choices don't match with the lines that we were drawn towards. So narrowing your focus actually speeds you up because you know what you're looking for in the question, in the lines, in the choices. You all want it to line up perfectly.